All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're breaking down Monster Beverage's, blockbuster third quarter of 2025. And believe me, the numbers from their latest earnings report, they're absolutely electric. So, let's just start with the big headline. And this is straight from the top. Monster didn't just have a good quarter. No, they had a record-breaking one. Across the board, every single key metric you can think of, sales, profit, income, they all hit an all-time high.
So, the big question is, how'd they pull this off? Well, we're going to walk through it all. We'll start with the record-breaking quarter, unpack the financials, look at their global growth, see what brands are performing, and then peek at what's next for them.
All right, let's get right into it. A record-breaking quarter, and it all starts with one top-line number.
And here it is, $2.2 billion in net sales. That's a massive 16.8% jump from this time last year. We're not just talking about growth here. This is explosive, record-setting stuff.
Okay, but here's where the story gets really, really interesting. It's not just about sales. Sure, sales grew fast, but guess what? Their profits grew even faster. And that tells you this is a company that isn't just getting bigger, it's getting smarter, a lot more efficient. And this chart just lays it all out perfectly. Look at that. Sales are up almost 17%, which is great. But their operating income, that's the real profit from their main business, it literally skyrocketed by over 40%. That huge gap between the two, that tells you they're mastering their efficiency. They're squeezing more profit out of every single can they sell. And it all really boils down to this number, their gross profit margin. Think of it like this. For every dollar they make in sales, how much do they keep before paying for other big expenses? Well, it jumped to a super healthy 55.7%. For a company that has to manage actual physical products in these crazy complex supply chains, that is a seriously impressive figure. So, how'd they do it? Well, it was kind of like a classic three-pronged attack. First, they were smart about their pricing. They raised prices where it made sense. Second, they really tightened up their supply chain, which cut down on costs. And third, they just sold more of the stuff that makes them the most money, their high-margin products. It's really a textbook example of a company firing on all cylinders. Okay, so that's the financial picture. Now, let's zoom out and look at their growth across the globe, because honestly, Monster isn't just a US story anymore. It's turning into a true international juggernaut. And get this, for the first time ever, sales outside the US made up a record 43% of their total business. That is a huge, huge milestone. It really shows their global strategy isn't just working, it's paying off big time and turning them into a genuinely balanced worldwide brand.
So let's drill down into some of the regions. You look at Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, EMEA, and growth was just explosive. We're talking up over 30%. And they're not just growing in the places you'd expect. They're actually conquering new markets, even grabbing the #1 spot in places like Greece. Incredible.
Okay, now over to the Asia-Pacific region. Just as impressive. Sales jumped almost 29%. But listen to this, China, right? A market that's notoriously difficult to crack. Their sales there grew by a staggering 42%. Wow. That just signals massive, massive potential for the future. And the momentum just keeps on going. Head down to Latin America, and you see sales grew by over 9%, led by really strong performances in places like Mexico and Brazil. Mexico's sales jumped over 26%. It's clear their formula is working pretty much everywhere. All right, so we've seen the numbers, we've seen the global picture, but what's actually selling? What specific products are driving all this success? Let's break down the brand performance.
And it is crystal clear where the power is. The core Monster energy drink business, that's the engine of this whole company. It grew at an incredible 17.7%. Now, on the other hand, you have their much, much smaller alcohol segment, which actually saw a decrease. So that really tells you everything you need to know about where this company's focus and its success really lies.
And you better believe they are not resting on their laurels. They are not slowing down one bit. Look at this. Their innovation pipeline for just the first half of 2026 is absolutely packed. We're talking a relentless rollout of new brands, new flavors. They're making sure the excitement just doesn't stop. So, what's next for Monster? Well, looking ahead, it seems like the wind is still very much in their sails. The company sees the entire energy drink category continuing this powerful upward trend. And, they are perfectly positioned to just ride that wave. And this is the big picture takeaway, and it comes straight from the company itself. Global demand for energy drinks, it's still growing. More and more households are trying these drinks and buying into the category, and that just means the potential market is still getting bigger.
So this all kind of leaves us with one final thought, right? After a quarter like this, records are shattered, international markets are booming, they've got this constant stream of new products on the way. Monster just appears to have this wide-open runway for growth. The question really isn't if they can keep growing anymore, it's how fast and just how high can this thing go?